Welcome. I would like to welcome you to episode 486 of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. Here at the Unpopular Podcast, and I already asked you to agree with me. I'm asking you to hear me out. Now, I've been very vocal on this broadcast, on this podcast, several times, saying that I'm not the biggest fan of hockey. I have nothing against hockey. I just don't watch hockey on a regular basis. Hockey isn't something that I turn to. And while a lot of people would try to discredit something that I have to say about hockey, which is completely understandable. It's like, I understand that you may not want to hear anything from me when it comes to hockey because, like I said, I've been very vocal in saying that I'm not the biggest, I don't know much about hockey. But I do think it's important, and I do think it's kind of cool to, I guess you can say, follow me on this journey of discovery when it comes to hockey. Now, yes, there are some things that I know. There's, obviously I know the Capitals, and I'm a Capitals fan, but I don't really start watching hockey until the playoffs. And I think it's interesting getting perspective from someone like me who is literally a hockey novice. So I'm watching the Four Nations face off. And let me first say shout out to Canada for beating the United States in overtime 3-2. It was a crazy game. Obviously, Canada played, or Team USA played Canada probably, a week ago, and they beat them, but it was a bunch of fights. It was incredible. And the final was, when I tell you it was intense, it was intense. Conor McDavid had the game-winning goal. It was a great watch. That's one thing I will say about hockey. Hockey is there. One thing that I don't like about baseball is there are a lot of times when the journey doesn't equal the reward, in my opinion. I know a lot of people that are novice, or a lot of people that are purist, a lot of people that love the sport of baseball goes, there's a beauty in the game when it ends 1-0, when it ends 2-0, after, they're able to find enjoyment in the little things, which I respect completely. But I know when a lot of people talk about baseball, they talk about you have to go to a game. Now, I will say I've never been to a baseball game outside of working a baseball game, but I've never been as an actual fan, so I don't have that perspective yet. But for me, it's hard for me to justify the journey if the outcome isn't enjoyable, meaning it's hard for me to sit through a 3.5-4 hour game of baseball and the game ends 1-0 or 2-0. It's like, bro, what are we doing? I know there's I don't like all that scoring, and I respect you, but I need to see some type of enjoyment. I'm a home run derby dude. Like, let's go. Let's get some home runs out of here. It's a different feeling. A 1-0 game in hockey feels different than a 1-0 game in baseball. And that's kind of the beauty that hockey has. Like, it's a different level of excitement. Now, again, you're hearing this from a person that doesn't know much about hockey. I know little things. I know enough to talk about it. I know enough to have a conversation. But I feel like I'm an encyclopedia when it comes to basketball. I feel like I know a lot more than the average person when it comes to football. But when it comes to hockey, I am in that same boat with the average person. But watching the Four Nations face off, and It's so interesting, man. It was I was on the edge of my seat the entire game. Now, we're gonna talk about Victor Wembanyama in a second, but it's also interesting, and it's perfect timing that the documentary Court of Gold comes out, which was documenting Team USA basketball in the Paris Olympics. It was also following the France team, the Serbian team, and Team Canada. And it was so interesting watching the hunter in Team USA, because Team USA has been dominant, especially in the Olympics since 1990, since the Dream Team. And it was so interesting watching how teams like Serbia, teams like France, teams like Canada would talk about the hunter, would talk about the quote unquote top dog in Team USA. And the thing that is the reason why I brought that up is because I understand that viewpoint of a France, of a Serbia, because Team USA has been like that, or the United States has been like that when it comes to hockey. You see, Canada is basketball, football, I believe, is our sport. I think the national pastime, or it was baseball for the longest, but I think football is North American national sport, I believe. Canada's national sport is hockey. You even heard it in, again, shouts out to the Court of Gold. You even heard when Canada was talking, it was tough for people like Dylan Brooks and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander growing up trying to find a basketball court, because a lot of times it was 10 times easier to find a ice rink than it was to find a basketball court. Canadians, Jesus loves you. Canadians breathe hockey. Obviously not all, but hockey is legit in Canada. So I don't know the history, obviously, but I do know that when it comes to the four nations, when it comes to national dominance, Canada has a dominance on Team USA. So it was interesting seeing Team USA kind of just blow through the competition, man. Shouts out to them, man. Shouts out to Austin Matthews. Shouts out to Kachuk. Like it was great. It was great. Shouts out again to Canada for beating Team USA in the Four Nations. And I think it was perfect timing. I'm not here saying that hockey was in a bad place. I'm not here saying that hockey needed some type of rejuvenation. I'm not saying that. But it is interesting. Now, I'm not going to talk about what PK Subban said. I'm not going to comparing hockey to an NBA. I'm not going to talk about that. That's his opinion. I may agree. I mean, I may disagree, but that's his opinion. Respect to him. But I will say, now, obviously, there's a different element. There's an element of us when we talk about USA versus the world. So there's always going to be a collective unity when it comes to that. There's always going to be a cheat code. It's always going to be a thing where people that even may not even care about the sport is going to rally behind a team because it's Team USA. So Canada does have that, or the Four Nations does have that going for it. But I do think that it's interesting how different it felt watching the All-Star game this year compared to watching the Four Nations face off. Like, it felt night and day different. As a person that is a basketball lover, basketball is my favorite sport by far. I grew up playing basketball. I watched basketball on, it felt better watching the Four Nations face off this year than it did watching the entirety of Team USA. Of All-Star Weekend. So I will give credit to hockey for that. There's a lot of things that I think the NBA does better than hockey. Basketball does better than hockey. Again, you're talking to somebody that doesn't know much about hockey, but what I will say is when we talk about execution and when we talk about feel, it was almost night and day. The Four Nations face-off was much better than the NBA's execution when it came to All-Star Weekend. And it was fun watching this. I think that's the overall thing. Again, I know I keep reiterating it, but I think it's important to keep reiterating the fact of, as a person that doesn't know and doesn't watch hockey on a regular basis, yes, I watch hockey during the Stanley Cup playoffs, but that's really only because I have to talk about it on the podcast and if my team's in it. But which, by the way, the Capitals are kind of putting belt to ass this year. Just saying. But as someone that is coming in not knowing much, this was an incredible watch. So shouts out to them. Shouts out to the Four Nations. Shouts out to Canada. It sucks that Team USA lost, or USA lost, but they lost to a team that it's kind of, when you have Conor McDavid, when you had Sidney Crosby, even though Sidney Crosby is closer to the end of his career than the beginning. It was a great watch. It was a great watch. Shouts out to the commentators. Shouts out to just the show that was put on. It was great. And shouts out to Canada for beating USA in overtime, 3-2. Let me talk about I want to talk about Victor Wembanyama for a second. It was announced, a couple days ago, that Victor Wembanyama will be out for the remainder of the season due to blood clots. I believe was found in his arm or his shoulder or something like that. Now, I was just as shocked as pretty much the world when they heard this news. I just saw Victor Wembanyama all over the place All-Star Weekend, whether we talk about the skills challenge, whether we talk about obviously Team USA. Obviously All-Star Game. We just saw him and he was featured heavily in the Quarter Gold documentary that I just discussed. Victor Wembanyama is one of the best young players in basketball. So the fact that he will be out for the remainder of the season, especially with it feeling like it came out of nowhere, obviously was shocking. I can only imagine how he felt. I think Shams was reported that he was blindsided. He didn't know nothing about this. I am glad that, blood clots can kill, bro. I think that's why people take this so seriously. Physically, as far as like limbs and feeling, I'm sure Victor Wembanyama feels perfectly fine. I'm sure that he woke up today feeling the same exact way body-wise that he felt yesterday. Which is, I think, the craziest thing about the human body. It's, you don't know what you don't know. And we've seen blood clots kill people. We've seen blood clots end careers. I think he did a great job at didn't Chris Bosh have blood clots and it essentially cut off years of his NBA career. What sucks is you want to view Victor Wembanyama as strictly a basketball player, especially someone in my position that doesn't know him. And on top of that, we know how high the ceiling is. I mean, there's a reason why he's the highest prospect in NBA history. I'm not saying that he's going to turn out to be the GOAT, but what I'm saying is there is a reason, and you can see it. You can see it every single time he steps foot on the court. There's a reason why he is the highest rated prospect in NBA history. So it is devastating on all fronts. Whether we talk about as an NBA player, again, you want to see Victor Wembanyama play. As a person, I mean, again, blood clots are so serious. You can be doing something. We can be having a conversation right now, and then I fall out, boom, blood clot done, affected, blood going to my brain and his curtains. So selfishly, obviously, you want to see Victor Wembanyama play basketball. I'm sure the Spurs selfishly want to see him play basketball. I'm sure he selfishly wants to see himself play basketball. But the human aspect, not only was it the right decision to take Victor Wembanyama off the court, even though I'm sure listening to him during that docuseries, listening to him in all his interviews during the All-Star weekend, I'm sure they probably had to fight to get him off that court. It just seems like he's built that way. It seems like he's the type of person that you have to force to get off the court. But one thing that I think we take for granted, and it's easy to take it for granted, but one thing that I think we take for granted is all of these athletes are still people, are still humans. I understand that our viewpoint of these people change and the way that we see them change. A lot of it is due to status. A lot of it is due to availability. A lot of due to money. We kind of desensitize the human aspect of these athletes. One, because we don't know them. A lot of these people, we don't know them outside of the profession that they do. But these are still humans. And as unfortunate as it is, it does, for a lot of people, take a moment like this to remind people, like, oh, these people aren't superhumans. The marketing, the mantra around Victor Wembanyama, and he is words. The marketing around Victor Wembanyama is that he is an alien. The marketing around Victor Wembanyama is he is larger than life. He is, 7'5", and he does things that a 7'5" person shouldn't do, and he's marketed as this larger than life thing, and understandably so. But something as small as a blood clot, which, while it is small in the grand scheme of things, it is larger than life. But something as small as a blood clot can take this supernatural human and just completely take them off the court. It's crazy. But it does take something like this to remind people that these are people. These are their own, entities. They're their own people. And as selfish as it is, I want to see Victor Wembanyama play. But more so, I want him to be healthy. I want him to have a speedy recovery. I want him to be as healthy as he possibly can. And I do thank technology and medicine because, I mean, back in the day, this was untraceable. Back in the day, we wouldn't know about it until literally something happened. And there was also a time when we were able to discover this, but it was a career ender. There was nothing that you could do about it. And once you had it, it was over with as far as your career. Nowadays, which is why you're hearing the Spurs come out and say that it is they believe it's an isolated incident. So I pray for a speedy recovery. It sucks, but I pray for a speedy recovery. And as much as it's hard to talk about, there is a basketball aspect to this, and I think that it has huge so here's what I'm wrestling with. I think that it has huge ramifications on this year in a sense of, I think the playoffs or any hope for the playoffs is done for the Spurs. Yes, you have De'Aaron Fox. Yes, you have Stephon Castle. You have Chris Paul. There's a chance there. But I mean, it does help that the Suns have been, I think they're 1-7 in their last 8 games. But I think that this kind of takes you out. You lose your best player. Shouts out to, again, De'Aaron Fox. He's a great player, but you lose your best player. And I don't know how sustainable it is to continue to go on trying to compete for a playoff spot when I don't think you're going to get it. Because it's different if a role player, and no offense to them, but it's different if a role player was out, but you lost your best player. So I think that the playoffs are done. And on top of that, I think it gives you an out. Now, this is going to sound insensitive, but it's true. And this is exactly how teams look at it. So this isn't me saying, oh, they're happy about this. No, not at all. Nobody is happy that Victor Wembanyama is hurt. Nobody's happy that he's out. But what this allows the Spurs to do is it gives them a out. It gives them a excuse to do something that they possibly wanted to do, but it just will look bad. Or because Victor Wembanyama is such a competitive person, he may not allow this to happen, and that is tank. The All-Star Weekend just happened, so you have the whole entire second half of the season. Now, De'Aaron Fox may be like this as well, but you understand losing Victor Wembanyama. They're probably going to look extremely bad. Yes, Stephon Castle's good. Yes, De'Aaron Fox is good. Yes, Chris Paul. I think he just became second all-time in steals or something like that. But it allows you to tank and try to get a good draft pick. That's literally what it is. And you can frame it as, Victor Wembanyama's out. We don't really have a shot. So it's interesting, but it's not, in the sense of I kind of see the play. I kind of see what's going to happen moving forward. Now, as we speak, the Spurs are on a 1-game win streak. I think they beat I don't remember who they beat. Oh, I think it was the Suns. But I just don't see it. I think it's going to, when you lose someone as impactful as Victor Wembanyama, it's going to be a long second half of the season, no matter who you got. And I don't see them trying to, go in the buyout market and try to get someone to win now. That just doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense at all. So, again, I hope and I wish for a speedy recovery. And I can't wait until we see Victor Wembanyama on the floor again, because he is one of the best players in the NBA. He's one of the best watches in the NBA. And it kind of goes into my next point. This is going to be a quick episode. I don't think, there's a lot of things I could talk about, but I want to kind of keep this focused. I want to talk about something. The NBA has a problem. And it has a problem that they seemingly are not prepared for, but they're trying to do things to prepare themselves for the inevitable. But I also think that they're kind of doing it wrong. Now, maybe they're not doing it. Maybe the media is doing this, but it just feels like the talk around this topic is completely off. And that is the face of the NBA. I've talked about it before. And I've said before that this isn't something that you just anoint. This isn't something that you just assign to a player. This is something that should be organic. Michael Jordan was organically the face of the league because of his style, because of how he played. A lot of off the court stuff, with Nike and everything. It was organic that Michael Jordan became larger than life. It was organic that LeBron James became the face of the league. And it's no coincidence that both of these players are widely considered the best player, depending on who you ask, in NBA history. Before Michael Jordan, I believe it was Magic Johnson. The face of the league is an organic thing. Now, yes, there are things that they can do to help. Like I said, marketing is a big thing, but it's an organic thing. And the issue that I have, and again, it may not be the NBA, it may be media, is I feel like they're trying to take something that is supposed to be organic and make it artificial, make it manufactured. And that, in my opinion, is the biggest issue that the NBA is finding themselves in. Now, a question that has been actually let me back up a little bit. What is the face of the league? The face of the league is when you look at a league, when you look at any sport, it's usually the first player you think of. It's usually the player that represents whatever the league and whatever they want to put. It represents them as best as possible. The NFL struggles with this, but I don't think they struggle with it because they just don't. They struggle because I don't think they want a face of the league. When you look at the logo, it is the shield. They have helmets. You can't really see. There's a bunch of my favorite football players that I didn't even know what they look like until their retirement. It's like, oh, that's what he looked like, because when you see them, they usually are wearing a helmet or they're not really promoted without their stuff. So the NFL struggles mightily with the face of the league. And you kind of see it with how we argue. While yes, everyone knows that Patrick Mahomes is the best player, but they talk about the issues with Lamar Jackson in the way that he represents himself, or Josh Allen, or Travis Kelce when we talk about his relationship with Taylor Swift. The NFL struggles with that, but I don't think that they want to. Like I don't think that they want to have a face of the league. They want to make it as in a sense of when you think of the Kansas City Chiefs, the first thing you think of is the football team, not Patrick Mahomes. Or when you think of the Washington Commanders, you want to think of the team more than Jaden Daniels. And I think they are steadfast in, no, we don't want the whole face of the league thing. We want our product to be the team, which it works for them. On the flip side, the NBA is totally different. Players, you get to see their faces, their expressions clearly. They wear jerseys that obviously aren't as they don't cover as much as an NFL jersey. They wear shorts. They have shoe deals. They have brand deals. The NBA has they've known from the beginning, but I think with Michael Jordan, with Magic Johnson, with Larry Bird, the NBA quickly understood that the best way and the most effective way to promote our league and to elevate our league is on the backs of the players. While the same thing is in a sense for the NFL, like I said, the NFL continues to push the team aspect, which nothing wrong with that. There's a reason why the NFL is the biggest brand in the United States when we talk about sports. But the NBA is different. The NBA knows people care more about a Steph Curry before they care about a Golden State Warriors. They care about a LeBron James more than they care about a Los Angeles Lakers. You can tell by Instagram followers or Twitter followers or YouTube subscriptions, So with understanding that, the NBA is again, I think it's more the media more than the NBA. So let me try to understand. I think the media is trying to, again, force somebody or force the face of the league more than just allowing it to. I've been on record saying I don't think there will be a face of the league. I also talked about that we're in the golden age of the NBA in a sense of there is so much talent in the NBA. Talent, there's more talent in the NBA now than I think there's ever been. Like if you look at every single team outside of maybe one, there is a star on every team. Cleveland, you have Donovan Mitchell, you have Evan Mobley, you have Darius Garland. Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. The Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden. Golden State, obviously Steph Curry. Hell, even the Pelicans, that are the worst team in the West, have Zion Williamson. So there's more talent than ever. And because of that, I said that. Now let me put a pin on that and kind of explain a little bit more where I'm going. LeBron James will probably be out the league in the next 5 years, within the next 5 years. Meaning the guy that we think, let me not disrespect, the face of the league will be gone. On top of that, I believe in the next 5 to 6 years, Steph Curry will be gone and Kevin Durant will be gone. That's your big three right there. Those are the three that has put the league on their back and carried it for a while. Now, yes, you still have some players like a James Harden, like a Russell Westbrook, who are older, but they didn't have, and even though they won an MVP, and even though they're still great in their time, and in their prime, they were incredible players. They never had the cachet. They never had the following. They never had the influence that a LeBron KD, and Curry had. We're talking about three players that are inarguably top 15 to 20, two of which are top 10, one of which is considered one of, if not the greatest player of all time. Someone like James Harden and Russell Westbrook don't have that cachet, but they are still incredible. I mean, Russell Westbrook is, Russell Westbrook. But your big three is about to be, in the next 5 to 6 years, I think they'll be gone. Steph Curry, I think, is 37. LeBron is 40. And KD, I think, is 36, 37. So if we're doing the math, there are going to be some old players playing. I just don't, I don't see it. And they don't see it. So I think media-wise, it's easy to have a face of the league because it allows you to focus your attention on someone. But I just don't think there will be. Because, again, this is the first time in the NBA history that there is this many stars. Even on bad teams. The Toronto Raptors have Scotty Barnes. The Charlotte Hornets has LaMelo Ball. And with there being so much talent, they're trying to figure out, okay, who's going to be the face? Who's going to be the face? Who's going to be the face? LeBron's about to leave. Steph's about to leave. KD's about to leave. Who's going to be the face? And all through All-Star break, Anthony Edwards' name was propped up. And rightfully so. Anthony Edwards is an incredible player. Incredible player. He's a high flyer. He's authentic. You saw that with and I guess I apologize. I keep going back to the Court of Gold docuseries. It was really good. 6 episodes on Netflix. Go watch it. But you even saw it with Anthony Edwards and his interaction with former President Obama. And how just authentic he is. Like, there's nothing PC. There's no, he's as authentic is going to get. And people were asking him, do you want to be the face of the league? Or are you prepared to be the face of the league? And he was essentially saying, no, I don't want to do that. That's going to be Wemby. No, I just don't want to do that. And that caused a firestorm in the media. Because you've never really heard someone say, I don't want to be the most popular player in the league, or I don't want to be the face of something. And I understand completely not wanting to do that. Quiet as is kept, I think KD never wanted to. KD seems like the most purest basketball player you've ever seen. He just eats, sleeps, breathes basketball. He just wants to hoop. And there are politics that come with being the face of the league that I just don't think KD has ever really wanted to do. Now, I know injuries played a part. Obviously, LeBron James being here played a part. But KD doesn't have the personality of the face of the league. And I don't think he wants that personality. KD doesn't want to be considered, there's a level of scrutiny that you're always going to have. There's always a level of eyes that you're always going to have that I just don't think KD is trying to do. He just wants to hoop. He says it all the time. I just want to hoop, bro. And I think Anthony Edwards, who is no coincidence that Kevin Durant is Anthony Edwards' favorite player of all time, growing up. I think Anthony Edwards is cut from that same cloth. I mean, even, and I'm not going to highlight what's going on, but even now, Anthony Edwards is dealing with a bunch of stuff off the court. I don't think when you're the face of the league, all that gets magnified. I don't think he wants to do that. And I completely understand. Trust me, I do. No, who wants all, like, come on, bro. No. So I get it. So I don't think it's the NBA as much as the NBA media. I think we should just let it happen. I know a lot of people say that the face of the league is not going to be somebody that is foreign, because it's never been someone that's foreign. And a sport that was obviously created in Springfield, Massachusetts, I think that they would hope that the quote-unquote face of the league would be someone that is from America. And my retort to that is simple. While you're correct, the face of the league has never been American or never been a foreign player. The league has never had this many great foreign players before. Now, we've seen some incredible foreign players, as like Hakeem Olajuwon, Steve Nash, Tim Duncan. Even though he played for Team USA, he's from the version. I think that's okay. Take out Tim Duncan. But you had Sabonis. Like they're Arvydas Sabonis. That's what I'm talking about. You've had some great players. But I don't think we've ever had this many great players that are foreign. On top of that, them being so high in the NBA ranks. Like, if you look at it, in the top 10, you have Nikola Jokic, Giannis, and I'm not even in no order. I'm just Nikola Jokic, Giannis, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Victor Wembanyama, Luka Doncic, at least 5 that you can argue. Some of them obviously are inarguable, but at least 5 you can argue in the top 10. None of which are from the United States. So, while yes, I understand that it's like, whoa, the face of the league has never not been a foreign or never not been an American. Yeah, well, when LeBron James early in his career, Michael Jordan early in his career, Magic Johnson early in his career, they never had someone as great as Nikola Jokic. They never had someone who's as great as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from Canada. They've never had someone that's as great as Giannis from Greece, Victor Wembanyama from France, Luka from Slovenia. So I understand that they're trying their hardest to make the face of the league someone American, which is why Anthony Edwards is a prime candidate. But I think because there's not a lot of great Americans, that's just how it is. The top tier players, yeah, you have Americans, don't get me wrong, but there's not as much. So they're trying to, if there is going to be a face of the league, let it be whoever it is. If that's Nikola Jokic, let it be. If that's Giannis, let it be. If that's Victor Wembanyama, let it be. That's not saying it has to be an American, because hell, I know he played for Team USA, but Joel Embiid ain't American. So I think either the NBA or NBA media, I think that they're trying to artificially make something happen that's supposed to be organic. And I think it's going to backfire on them if they continue to do that, because people are going to get tired of the whole propping someone up to be the face of the league. You know what this conversation I promise you guys I'm almost done. You know what this conversation reminds me of in questions? Why the hell do people not like Jason Tatum that much? Jason Tatum is widely considered one of the best players in basketball. You can pretty much unarguably a top 10, top 15 player. Why is it that whenever we talk about this whole face of the league thing, a person that just won the NBA Finals and is the best player, even though he didn't win the Finals MVP, is the best player on a team that just won the NBA Finals. And as much as we talking, may very well go back to back. Why is nobody talking about him being the face of the league? Because if you look, the American names that they put out there, Anthony Edwards, well, I say Jason Tatum is better than Anthony Edwards right now. John Moran, he kind of ruined that with his whole gun situation. But Jason Tatum is better than him. Like, why is it never Jason Tatum? It doesn't make sense to me. Do people just Tyrese Halliburton? Hell no, but Jason Tatum's better. It doesn't. I don't know. But Anthony Edwards said he doesn't want to be it. And I understand it. And honestly, let's stop trying to force a whole face of the league. It's just let it happen organically, if it happens at all. Because I honestly think the league is in a much better place is if they promote a bunch of people as the face of the league than just one. Because it prevents you from having these issues. I don't think it's an issue of how important it is, because I think the NBA has built itself around the promotion of players. That's their model. You have a player-friendly commissioner right now, and Adam Silver. It is a player-driven league. So I don't think that's a problem. I think it's always been that way. Maybe not to the extent it is now, but it's always been that way. But in order to not run into this problem, seeing as though LeBron's about to be out of here, Steph's about to be out of here, KD's going to be out of here soon, let's focus on promoting multiple players. Like, does the face... This conversation, I think, also discredits just how great the NBA is as far as talent. And I think it just does a bunch of people a disservice. So maybe this is the time where we, instead of promoting the face of the league, we continue to promote the growth internationally that the league has done. It seems like there's never been this many great foreign players. We didn't talk about someone like Franz Wagner, Dennis Schroeder, even though he's getting passed around like a... But maybe this is the wake-up call. Maybe this is the time where you say, no, we're going to promote multiple people. Why can't Shea, Victor, and Giannis be the faces of the league? Why can't Nikola Jokic, who is the best player in the league right now, why can't he be the face? It's just something to think about. I think that might be it, man. I got a lot going on today, and yeah, I know this isn't one of those hour episodes that I give you, but I do appreciate all you guys. You know what's funny though? Obviously this is a sports podcast. Mainly. 95% of the time I talk about sports. And there's a very there are times when I branch off and talk about other things. Like I talk about music. I talked about the movies. I saw Captain America, the new one. It was good. I understand that people have a idea of what something should look like, and if it doesn't, they just completely discredit everything. And I'm not gonna make it racy, but there are a lot of people that don't like seeing a black Captain America, and because of that, they just discredit the whole movie. I'm not saying that the movie doesn't have its flaws, but what I am saying is it's a pretty good movie. I'll give it about a 7, 8. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, it's crazy how the most engagement, the most hate I get by far is usually when I talk about music. I be having some crazy, I don't think they're crazy, but a lot of people do. I be having some crazy sports takes, but I don't get nearly as much interaction as I do when I talk about music. I talked about the Drake Party Next Door album. Oh my gosh. The amount of DMs I got from that, oh my word. Just give my opinion. But let me get y'all out of here, man. That's been today's episode. I appreciate you guys. If you want a Popular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve joggers, links in the description below. I have multiple different colors, multiple different designs. Get your Unpopular Podcast merch today. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to get as many subscribers as possible. I appreciate all of you guys. If you like what you hear, if you like what you see, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. It means a lot. Also, please subscribe to all my DSP listeners. Please subscribe to the DSPs, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud. If you love hearing my luscious voice, please continue to listen, and please continue to, tell a friend to subscribe. It means so much to me that you guys are along for the ride. I appreciate you all. Also, for all my social media people, Instagram, TikTok, please subscribe there. Please follow. I post pretty much daily. So for reels, stories, we can go back and forth. That would be probably the perfect place. Instagram and TikTok. Again, I appreciate all you guys. Please, 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 please follow. Until next time, much love.